Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Live Kitchen at India Food Forum 2017, powered by Sri Sri Products. Live Kitchen is presented by Usha Appliances. The entire range of cooking appliances, home appliances used here are from Usha Appliances. You can check out the entire range at their stall. Right now, we're going to present a special demonstration of some delectable goodies presented by USA PEARS. And to tell you a little more about USA PEARS, I'd like to invite Mr. Keith Sundarlal, the India representative of USA PEARS.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us at this wonderful event. It's a great show, and it's a real privilege for us to be here. I represent the growers and shippers of fresh USA pears, which are grown in the northwestern states of Washington and Oregon. We, as an industry, ship pears around the world and have been shipping into India for close to 15 years now. It's a small but growing market for us, and we are very pleased with the response that we get in the marketplace. Pears are a wonderful snack at any time of the day, and also have tremendous flexibility in cooking and usage. And that's why we have Chef Dinesh with us, who will share a wonderful recipe, and I myself hope to learn something from him, and hope you guys too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, lawyers are always cooking up cases. We've got someone who's qualified in law and ideally qualified to cook up something. The only thing he's not going to cook up a legal case. He's going to cook up one of those delectable recipes that has seen him become a finalist at MasterChef India Season 5. Please welcome Dinesh Patel, a finalist at MasterChef India Season 5, who says his inspiration is his grandmother and her culinary skills. Over to you, Dinesh.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of USA Pears, and I'm very happy to be showing you a recipe today. USA pears, I think, are one of the best fruits. We get them in the UK as well as here now, and I think the texture of them, the flavor of them is something to definitely be used in any dessert, which is my favorite thing to cook. So today I'm going to be doing a classic, which is poached pears, and I'm serving that with a chocolate mousse and a praline with that also, and sablé biscuits. I think the flavor of USA pears is so good that I don't want to dilute it any more than simply just poaching it. So first I'm going to start with the sablé biscuit, which is a very simple biscuit, and I'm using गेहूं का आटा with that. So first we'll go with the गेहूं का आटा. Into that we're adding a little of the icing sugar. Then into this we're going to add a little bit of butter. The main focus of this dessert for me, firstly, is the pear, which is very nutritious, firstly. A source of potassium, a source of good fructose and glucose, very energy rich, something that's really good for you. So today's dessert, the poached pear, is something that can be super healthy also. It's a dessert that you can just make, keep in the fridge. If you have guests over, serve it with some Greek yogurt, serve it with a very simple biscuit like this, and it's just super easy to have on hand. So first we're going to take just a little butter. The reason I'm using गेहूं का आटा today as well is just to add to the entirety of the dessert, in that it's a very healthy, rich dessert. So instead of using refined maida, anything like that, we're using गेहूं का आटा for its nutritious qualities. And the flavor with this and the pear will go perfectly, because pears tend themselves to these lovely nutty flavors. These USA pears are perfect for that. So again, we're just doing this to get like a breadcrumb texture, very fine, just rubbing the flour in. Very simple to do, very quick. I think it's amazing that we're getting these amazing pears in India now as well. These USA pears, they're known for their crisp, firm texture. They have such a juicy, refreshing bite to them. I think they're just an amazing product. I think everybody should definitely try like desserts with these, especially like as Varun Imamdas, the chef previous had done. The tart was perfect. This dessert simple and perfect. It's really, really great to work with such amazing produce. So as you can see, you've got a very nice like just breadcrumb texture, just something very simple, nothing major. Now we're going to bind this with a little egg yolk. So we'll just crack this in there and just bind this together to very simple dough. If you have any questions throughout the masterclass or anything about the recipe that you'd like to know, please feel free to ask. An alternative to the egg yolk for this we can use is just a little bit of water, which I'm going to add as well right now. The egg yolk just enriches it a little bit, but because we're adding the butter, even if you add a little bit of water or milk, you won't lose out on any of the richness of the biscuit. So we'll just add a touch of this milk also actually. So you don't want to add too much liquid to this because you want your biscuit to be nice and short when you eat it. You don't want it to be at all hard or crispy. It should melt in the mouth, which will go perfectly with a nice soft poached pear that we're going to do. So that's our sable biscuit dough. That's all done. So you just want it to come together just like this in a nice dough. Just like that. Yeah, so that's perfect. Keep this on the side to rest for a little while, just while you're doing some of the other things, because when you work with flour, you develop the gluten in it. So if you develop the gluten too much, your biscuit again can be too hard or too crisp. So you just want to let this rest for a little while on the side. That's done. We'll just keep that on the side. You have a towel?
We have tissue.
No, there's no tissue. Oh. So the next thing we'll do is start poaching our pears, which is our main iconic part of this dessert. So I'm going to start with just the basic USA pear, nice and firm, perfect texture. So as Varun was saying also, that the way to check for a perfect pear is in the neck. It should pass the thump test. So if it just yields when you press it just a little bit, you know that the pear is perfect for this. And actually for this type of dessert, you want the pear to be a little bit firmer so that when you're poaching it, it doesn't disintegrate. And you want that bite to it so that every time you take a bite of the USA pear, you've got that full pear flavor in your mouth. So we'll just halve these. For this, I'm leaving the skin on, one because I actually like the texture of the skin when it poaches. It's got a nice sort of bite to it. And also for presentation purposes, which was a big focus, that the skin, the greenness of the skin looks beautiful on the plate. The color, the slight colorations you get of the USA pear, it's beautiful. So we'll just take out the core centers of this, just like that. That's that done. So first we're going to make a poaching syrup. So for that we need the caster sugar that we have here. Not to so much sweeten the pear too much, just to sort of enhance that sweet flavor. Then to that we're going to add a whole vanilla pod. We've got cinnamon sticks here also. We've got some root ginger, fresh ginger, which again goes perfectly with the pear and has so many health properties also. We've got some lemon zest also right here, just a few strips of that. We've got star anise, and we've got cloves also, 4 or 5 cloves, and a few rose petals. So very fragrant, not to take away from the flavor of the USA pear, but just to enhance it, that real floral note to it. So to this I'm just going to add a little water. Not too much, just enough to cover the pear. And we'll just put this to the boil. So it's kind of just like making a very simple sugar syrup, but with all of these flavors in it to really infuse the pear and bring out all the floral notes that the USA pear really has. So that's enough. So once that comes to the boil, we'll add the USA pear into that, and then that'll just simmer gently. So now we've done our sablé, we've done that, we'll move over to the chocolate mousse. So this is a very simple chocolate mousse. In here I've got 3 egg whites, which I've just lightly whipped with around 30-40 grams of caster sugar. Now what you'll get is a stiff peak, as you can see, like a nice soft stiff peak. So we'll just give it a little bit more of a whip. As you can see, it's getting nice and glossy also, which is the addition of the sugar. That's what it does. It reacts with the strands of the egg white, and it gives a nice glossy finish and a perfect hold also. Almost there. You can obviously use a hand mixer at home also, which would be much, much easier perhaps. But it's good for upper body workout also if you want to do it by hand. So there we go, we've got nice soft peaks of that looking very glossy and shiny. So into this we're going to make a chocolate ganache now, which is a combination of cream and chocolate. That's the next thing we'll make. This is a 70% cocoa chocolate. So again, the higher the percentage of cocoa, the better the chocolate is for you. Chocolate has actually a lot of health properties. So again, this dessert, because we're using such a nutritious product like the USA pears, I'm really focusing on all of the ingredients, that everything has some kind of property, that the dessert should be somewhat healthy as well as enjoyable, you know? Okay, so this is almost coming to the boil. I'll just stir this. Spoon. Yeah. Spoon. You can smell all the flavors in this. The first thing that hits you is the lemon, then you've got the cinnamon in there, you've got the star anise. Has a very, very fragrant smell to it. So into this we'll put the pears. Just slightly submerge them with the skin upwards. You want all of that infused flavor to go into the USA pear. I think what's amazing about these pears is that somebody like me who's become a little bit more health conscious recently. I think that the fact that this only has 100 calories in it is a perfect snack, has that fructose, has that glucose in it to give you a pickup. I think any time of day, if you're just feeling a little bit weak while working, while running around doing whatever, this is the perfect snack for that. And it's just so like beneficial for you with all of the nutrition that there is in it. I mean, the amount of potassium in this, good for reducing blood pressure. You've also got all of the no cholesterol in this, nothing like that. It's just perfectly healthy for you. So now this has come to the boil. We'll just turn it down to a simmer. And we'll just let these infuse. Once you've poached these pears, you can easily keep them in the fridge for at least a good week in the syrup. They'll continue to infuse, they'll continue to stay just as good as they were. And what's amazing is that, like, if you have a rush of guests, for instance, you can easily whip up any dessert with these as long as you have them in the fridge, which is amazing. And they're perfect for breakfast, especially with all the nutritional properties with them. So the mousse will finish off last. And now let's just finish our sable biscuits because we'll get those in the oven. Oven preheat. Oven preheat kar. Oven. Yes, please. Can you give the rolling pin also? Rolling pin. इसको oven को preheat कर. So the more that you poach these pears, you can see that the skin is turning a lovely golden color, which I think is so pretty to look at. And when you plate it on a dish, there'll be a lovely variation of color as well in your final presentation. So we'll just turn those over. The smell of this is just really, really nice. Like, you can reserve this syrup for sponges, you can reserve it for like any kind of trifle or any kind of cheesecake that you're making. To add this syrup to anything will give an amazing burst of flavor, as well as that really nice USA pear flavor to that dish as well. It'll be really, really good. Acha, it's okay, I'll use this. So what we're going to do is just roll out this sable biscuit dough. It's very short, as you can see. It's not got much liquid in it, but that's amazing. When you bake it, it'll come out nice and soft and melt in your mouth. So we're just going to like literally roll it out a little bit. Just, if you feel like it's cracking, you can bring it back together, but do not add any additional flour to it. If you add any more flour to this, it'll become tougher the more flour that you add. You want the richness of that butter. So we just need to get it to a nice flat consistency. And then what we're going to do is just cut these into nice leaf shapes. You can do whatever shape you like. You can do rounds, you can do squares, triangles, whatever. But today, for presentation purposes, we'll do like really nice leaf shapes. So we'll just get those out. So just very simple like that. Bring the edges together a little bit, mold them in your hands. You can do anything, and this is perfect to do with kids as well, because they'll enjoy like making different shapes, doing different things as well. Just get those leaves. Does anybody have any questions, anything they'd like to ask? Any other USA pear ideas that you'd like me to give you? Perhaps like a savory variation as well, because I know Chef Imamdar also did a sweet dish and I'm doing a sweet dish also. But I think USA pears tend themselves a lot to savory dishes as well, like even especially things like mutton or chicken, it works perfectly in that if you're doing a casserole or something, the pears add a perfect like sweetness to it, and they have slight acidity also. So if you cook them again with these warm spices and a meat or something, perfect for the winters, it tastes amazing, really amazing, and especially blue cheese. Pears and blue cheese are a marriage made in heaven, especially these USA pears. So we'll just mold them like this into a leaf shape, just very simply. It's 4 or 5. That's fine, thank you. You have a tray for the oven? Tray for the oven? So we've just done 4 or 5 for presentation sakes here, but obviously if you have guests over, you'll be doing a lot more. Again, you can do all kinds of shapes, like I said. And these are perfect for tea time as well, just with a cup of chai or something. It's perfect for that too. So we'll just get those in the oven. Can you just pop that in the oven for me? Now these pears, you just want to cook them until they're just soft. You don't want to lose too much of the bite in them. So these are just there. That's perfect. Can you give me another bowl, please? So like I said, just keep these poached pears in the syrup. They'll be perfect in the syrup for a very long time. The sugar preserves them. They're perfect to just have on hand. There you go. So we'll just take these pears out now and we'll keep them on the side. They're just soft, not too soft at all. So you want them to be a little bit firm, but you can see that the color of the skin has changed to this like beautiful golden yellow color, which is so distinctive of the USA pear. A lot of the other pear varieties that you get, often the skin color just disintegrates or it becomes a bit dull, but this beautiful golden color comes specifically with the USA pears. We'll just pour the rest of the syrup over this also because we want to conserve that. Can you wash this? Yeah. Okay. So like I said as well, that syrup is super, super versatile. If you guys are a drinker at home, perfect with a little bit of champagne in your whiskey, with a nice cocktail, something like that. It's just the best syrup to keep, and that lovely pear flavor has really infused itself as well in the syrup, which is perfect. So now we'll just move on to the mousse. And we have one last thing, which is the praline coming also. So this is done. Just waiting on the praline now, and we'll get that done. Give the pecans.
Sorry?
Pecan now. Pecan. Anybody have any questions? Anything regarding this dessert or any other variations we can do with the USA pear or any ideas? No? So to add a bit of texture to this dessert, we'll be making a praline. Now what I like to use with pears, which I think is a match made in heaven as well, is walnuts. Walnuts go beautifully with pears, especially with a blue cheese salad, for instance, for a savory option, or just in a dessert like this with the poached pears and a good walnut, it's perfect, especially in a crumble. But what we're going to do today is a praline. So we'll be caramelizing some sugar and using that with some nuts, and we'll be then crushing it up to give a really nice sweet texture to this. And nuts, when they're roasted, have a really earthy flavor to them, which goes perfectly with the USA pear. So first we're going to finish up on the mousse though. So I'm just going to heat a little bit of cream to add to our dark chocolate to create a ganache. You don't want to add too much cream to it because you want the chocolate, the bitterness of that chocolate to really come through, and you don't want to dilute that whatsoever. You want to have a really nice, strong chocolate flavor. Like I said, the higher the percentage of chocolate, the better it is for you. And it has a much higher antioxidant property for you also. So when people say chocolate's bad for you, you can tell them they're wrong, and it actually is good for you. So we'll just heat this. You just want to bring it up to temperature. You don't need to boil it really too much. So that's perfect. So that's that done. Just stir that through quickly while it's still hot. So that's perfect. We'll just keep that on the side, and then we'll just add our egg whites to that. Often people say when you're making a chocolate mousse that you shouldn't have any kind of chocolate texture. It should be completely smooth. But what I actually like to do with a chocolate mousse is make sure that a few of those lumps of chocolate have actually stayed. Because when you bite into that, you get this real burst of chocolate flavor, which I think is really good. And when you pair that with the acidity and the sweetness of the pear, it's perfect. So we'll just add our egg whites to this. Usually what people do is make chocolate mousse with whipped cream as well. And I think that doing it purely with egg white, what that gives you is a much more chocolatey flavor. Obviously, if you're making an eggless recipe, you can do it with whipped cream. There's no problems with that. But what the egg white does is it doesn't dilute any of that pure chocolate flavor. So we'll just whisk that through. And again, this part of the dessert you can easily make in advance and keep it in the fridge. You've no problems with that. So that if you do have guests over, if you're catering for a dinner party, anything like that, it's easily put together. So when you're folding in any kind of egg whites, first you add a little bit, and they say you sacrifice it, just to loosen the mixture, and so that when you add the rest of the egg whites, you can very gently fold those in now. So we'll get a spoon for that. I think those are done too, almost, no? On है ना? ठंडा है, oven ठंडा है, check करो. The oven's cold. नहीं check करो. Oven ठंडा है, check करो. So we're just gonna fold these egg whites through now. As you can see, I've kept like a little bit of a granular texture to that also. Just fold it, they say in a figure of 8 movement, very slowly, very softly. You don't want to knock too much of that air out of there, but you want a nice dense mousse as well. So that's our chocolate mousse. As you can see, it's nice and dense, but not too dense. It'll have a real chocolate kick to it, which will be perfect with our pear. Now we'll move on to the last thing, which is the praline. So for the praline, again, we're just going to take a little bit of this caster sugar. We want it to caramelize. Just leave it still. You don't need to move it whatsoever. Just keep it on nice one level. And what it will do is just start to color and just swivel it around. As soon as you touch it with anything, any kind of spoon, wooden, metal spoon, anything like that, what it'll do is start crystallizing again, which will become an issue. So you just want it to start coloring. These pears are just continuing to absorb that syrup. They'll be perfect, nice and fragrant, just adding to that natural flavor that they already have. It's just starting to melt now, ever so slightly. So just keep an eye. You don't want it to color too much because, like Varun was saying also, there's a very fine line between burnt sugar and caramelized sugar. So just keep an eye on it. Don't just leave it. And you want everything to caramelize evenly as well. So you don't want one end to caramelize more than the other. Otherwise, again, you'll have like a crystallization problem, which then your sugar will keep seizing. Any questions? Anything to ask? No? I know I'm moving through things quite rapidly as well, but being on the MasterChef kitchen last season, when you have 1 hour on the time clock, you're thinking I have to get everything done very quickly as well. So doing these live demos, I've become very used to getting through things very quickly as well. So do pause me if you want me to clarify anything. So as you can see, it's just starting to color. We'll just swivel it around a little bit, just to make sure that it colors evenly, and then we'll add our nuts to that. I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Our biscuits are also done now, so I'll just take those out. The praline, once you put the nuts in here, you just want to toast them a little bit in the caramel. You want all the natural oils of the nuts to come out. You want it to taste nice and really earthy, so that then when you're eating it, it really contrasts to the fragrance of the pear. So as well in MasterChef, one thing that I really learned is that you really want to play around with textures. I mean, you've got the amazing texture of the USA pear, but pairing that with other things like the softness of the mousse, the texture of the biscuit and the praline, you'll have all types of crunch and softness and bite in your mouth, which is amazing. It's what really makes a complete dish, I feel. So this is just coloring now. Just make sure all of the sugar's nicely dissolved. Almost there. इसको निकाल दो कपड़ा. So we'll just add our pecan nuts to this now. So we're almost done with this. They'll kind of clump together, they'll stay together, stick together a little bit, but that's what you want. You just want to make sure that all of the nuts get toasted and covered in that caramel, so that when you crush it up, you get that real caramelized flavor later as well. You want all the oils to be released, you want it to be nice and toasty. So there we have those done. We'll just leave those on the side for a minute, just while they cool a little bit and just harden. And then that's our praline done. So that's that done. Piping back in. Piping. So all of our components are ready now, so we're ready to plate. The mousse is perfectly set also. This requires no gelatin, no nothing. The chocolate itself will set. If you put this into little mini cups with some of this pear, it'll be perfect. Just again, I love to give options when I'm giving recipes of things that are quick and easy to do. Nothing too complicated, nothing that you can't do at home, and something that's always quick and simple because I know how busy life can get as well. So these are the little tricks that you often see in restaurants that it seems really difficult, but actually it's very simple to do and very achievable and can be done way ahead of time. So these are just those little things. So we're ready to plate now. Just get the stuff. Does anybody have any questions? Anything about USA pears? Any other ideas you'd like with pears? I've said that there's a lot of savory options out there. Just give me 2 small spoons. एक और दे. Plate. So first, let's fan out these pears. That's our main thing. We want to make them look beautiful. We want to see that skin. So we're going to make quenelles of the mousse. So 2 spoons, very small spoons. Just take a little bit of the mousse in each and just literally quickly make these quick quenelles. Almost just like little truffles. It's a very deconstructed way of serving mousse, which has become very popular in restaurants today. Next, we're gonna work with the pear. So we'll just take a piece of this. Still nice and warm. And we're just going to slice that. So we're just gonna fan that out, just so, very delicately. We want the nice white inner flesh to contrast with the lovely, beautiful color of the skin, that beautiful yellow, golden yellow USA pear color. Add a little height. We have our little sable biscuits also that we'll just use, just a few. And just to finish, a touch of our praline also, which is just hardened now. So we'll just break it up a little bit. You want little chunks of it. You don't want to make too fine pieces. You want that real nice crunch factor to come from it as well. We'll actually just blitz a little bit of this as well, just to give another textural element to this. Just a little. Just chop a few of these up also, just to give a really nice texture. Plating is something that all of you can vary at home as well. Whenever I give any kind of recipe to everyone, every time I write the method, I never ever put how to plate something, because I think that plating should be an expression of what it is that you want to do. Because to me, I think that food is a little bit of an art form as well. So just experiment, see how you want to plate it, see what you can do. It's just about having fun, like in the kitchen, and seeing what you want to do on the plate. So that's that. What we'll do is, I had some sable rounds also that I made earlier, which I think will work perfectly here. Perfect deconstructed dessert. And just to finish, a touch of the edible rose petal as well, just to enhance that fragrance and to add a touch of color. And there we have our chocolate mousse with poached pears, sable biscuits, and a pecan praline. So that's it. Thank you.